Hi, good evening, everybody. After an illustrious demonstration of technologies that shape our life by Dr. Singh, we would like to take the discussion forward with the industry leaders on the technology and how technology is helping the business to grow. I mean, when you talk about innovation, in today's world, given the way that business dynamics are changing, given that the global dynamics are changing, if you don't think about the new ways of looking at business, technology, it's simply an invitation to extinction. I would like to start with this thing, the key factor for innovation. As Dr. Kopil has mentioned, what do you think are the key factors for innovation to business model actuation? And start with you.
Yeah, I believe innovation is the key to success, that everybody knows. But the problem comes here, whenever people think innovation, they think whatever idea I am thinking, it should be passed through to the management. But the problem what I face in my career, people are thinking lots of innovative idea, it is not coming up to the management level itself. People are thinking, okay, this idea this person has implemented, maybe it will not get success in my company. And as a manager, we will just take care of this idea, okay, this idea is coming up, I will just pass it on. But I believe as a person in SME sector or in the large sector, any small idea can create wonders, what Uber has done, what Ola has done. Based on my experience, if you see innovation, we have to perceive beforehand. Like if you take the example of Maruti, the dealer management system, what we have implemented, like our innovation, if you see India Innovation Index, we proudly say, our index is very high, but practically we are copying everything. So the innovation, actual innovative idea, whatever our young generation is having, we are not taking care of it. So I believe we need to understand, we need to listen to young guys, what they think. We need to try as a POC, proof of concept, we need to implement it and try whether it is working or not. And if it's getting fruits for the company, I think we should go ahead at the larger pace.
According to me, innovation will happen only if there's an environment to innovate. The environment cannot just happen on its own. So there has to be a conscious effort at the leadership level that, okay, how the organizational culture has to be aligned to make innovation happen within the company. So, it's like how freely you can come out with an idea, how ideas get recognized, how people get recognized because of their idea. I mean, these are all very important steps to get to innovation. India as a country, most of the guys who are really innovating abroad, like in the United States, most of them are Indians. So why can't we do it here? We can do. So why they are not able to do it here is because that culture and the environment, what I said. So we need to work more on that so that, the whole spirit gets encouraged, recognized, and so that, we take larger and bolder steps.
So when you talk about environment, creating an environment for innovation, talk about this agility, you need to talk about going beyond the boundary, talk about allowing people to do something. So it can be within an organization also. Obviously, startups are doing on their own. And I don't agree that India is not doing well in terms of innovation. India is doing pretty well, specifically on the BFSI sector, more specifically on the payment side. NPCI is doing a lot of stuff. And RBI and NPCI doing something which is quite ahead of time if you compare other countries. So that way we are pretty good right now.
If I were to put my 2 cents across it, I think transformation, innovation, disruption is actually synonym, right? Why do I say so? Because Kapil explained it from a disruption standpoint, right? I think everything that these 3 terms translate into is one fundamental common agenda, which is how to create new business opportunities. How do we create new business opportunities through IT as IT leaders, in turn for the business? That would have my 2 cents about it.
In fact, it's true that in many cases today we see technology or IT becoming the flag bearer for innovation. I would like to throw this question. What is the organization culture for celebrating failure? isn't it? Do we celebrate failure? And not only organization, let me open it up. The mindset, the subcontinent mindset of accepting and celebrating failure.
In the current organization, we are not having that type of. If we need to change the organization culture, like he told, we need to change the total organization culture nowadays. In some companies, it is there. Maybe where the headcounts are less, maybe people are celebrating, but not in the larger organization. I have never seen. Right now, we need to change the culture. We need to change the culture a lot. Maybe suggestion schemes and all are working in some of the organization where I worked earlier. Every suggestion was having some amount. It was a small token. You can say 30 rupees.
Sure, that's encouragement, of course.
Yeah, and it is running since long. If you talk about Maruti, the World India leader, they are running since 2000s. Since 2000, they are having this culture. Put a suggestion. Every employee has to give a suggestion. They will get a 30 rupees. 10 suggestion a month. 10 suggestion a month. Every employee has to give. Maruti comprises of around 3,000 people at that time when I was there. That much money they were spending for a small suggestion. A good suggestion will fetch you 1 lakh to 10 lakh rupees. Even in Mahindra, they have implemented the same thing. Every gram of Scorpio, every 100 gram reduction will fetch you 10 lakh rupees. Something like that they are innovating. So that type of culture has to be built in our organizations now. So that type of, it's a reward mechanism we need to introduce. All people are not, if you see, the culture in India is not like this. Why will I work if I'm not getting anything? So my KPIs, my KRIs are defined. I'll work up to that part only and rest, why I'll do extra while. So for extra, people has to walk extra mile. We need to also put some carrot or some reward, a small reward. People will give more innovative ideas to us.
Certainly.
That is what I believe.
In fact, you have talked about taking it forward. However, Abhishek and to all the esteemed panelists, when in US, where we talked about the maximum startups happen, out of 5 startups, only one kind of see the light of the day. So you can understand number of failures. I know, like, in a class, an MBA class, in a premium institute, when people are passing out, this question was asked, okay, what do you want to do? And almost 90% hands went up for being an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is also innovation in some way because they are taking a risk. So that appetite for risk is very important. So I will come back to this question again, with Ashok also. Like, how do we create a culture of celebrating failure? Because without failure, we cannot think of moving forward.
I think honestly, my feeling is that if you really look at the majority of Indian companies, they don't celebrate failures. This is my honest feeling. So that again goes back to what I said earlier, like, the culture. It's all about the culture, and it's all about what they really want to do and to what extent they want to do. So any business has got a risk, but innovation or a new idea coming up, I think one of the biggest roadblocks is because of the fear of failure. Okay, this may not click, this may not work. So I think the first level itself, many of these great innovative ideas get shot down because they feel that iska ROI, this ROI may not work out, or it's not going to really make it, and it may not really take off. So I think the organization has to really evolve and really probably look out at companies who has really matured enough to sort of celebrate all this stuff. But only one thing I feel is that it is going to happen. Things are going to change, I strongly feel, because if you give some 3-4 years time, people who are born after 2000 is going to start working. And I think the new generation, the real young millennials are really exposed to a very different environment, and the type of exposure they are having today, they are very well aware of what's going on in America or any other developed country, how this type of culture is evolving, they are pretty clued up, much more clued up than most of us in this room. So, when they start working, I think there's going to be a big push to the organizations to absorb them, because anyway someone has to come in and work, right? So the organizationally, the culture will get sort of changed by the advent of this new generation coming in, and once they sort of percolate down into the companies and corporations, I'm sure this change or the type of cultural shift, what I am saying, will become a reality. So the speed of this type of adoption of the celebrating change, I personally foresee going to improve probably from another 3-4 years, because these guys are going to come in and it's going to be reverse pressure on the company as to why, what is this? If you don't celebrate a failure, I am not going to join this company. So that's the way they're going to look at things. So currently, we ourselves feel that, how can you fail? So it's like bad. So because, there's a huge social pressure against failure, no one wants to fail. So it's like, so that itself is sort of a barrier to the probably old generation. So, it's going to change, and I feel it's all about the DNA or the core culture of the organization.
Obviously, the point that they were making, the average age of the organization is a vital factor in this. So if the average age is less than 35, possibly you have a better chance. If it's more than 45, you are not in a good shape. I would not say other words. The other point is, what is the cost of failure? So are you failing after spending few crores, or are you failing after say spending few lakhs? So if you can fail after say spending 2-3 lakhs, people are okay. Okay. So if you fail twice, thrice, there is a chance that you will succeed after fifth attempt or something. But if you keep on failing with few crores each time, then possibly you are in bad shape. So these 2 points. So average age, possibly it's not in your control, possibly it's the control of the promoter or the management. Try to impress them and try to reduce the cost of the failure. I think that will help you.
This question for Alok. We celebrate the Flipkart Snap deals in India. Slightly controversial question maybe, but would you consider them?
Bring it on.
So from financial terms, purely business terms, they really would not stand a chance. Bottom line, I'm talking that way. But still, we celebrate them. And you are representing pure IT company. So how do you look at that?
Yeah, in fact, when you were kind of getting through all the 3 panelists, I was thinking, should I take this question or simply say pass? See, I think I agree with what Ashok just mentioned, right? From a sales organization, imagine your sales guy, I don't know how many of your sales representing sales, a guy says, sir, I think I have failed. I couldn't meet my quota. And I was like, okay, let's talk next quarter, right? So, that's how it happens, right? Because, everything is meant to be result oriented, right? That's how it is. And failure, I don't know, by whosoever invented the Websters and all, it's a negative term, right? Yes, HRs and so of the, who's and who can actually bring some positivity to it. Leaders can to an extent, but generally failure is treated as a negative term, right? How do we, and that's my personal belief, I would say, I'll just remove my VMware cap out for the next 1 minute or so, right? How do we learn and embrace, right? I think, many people, you would hear from your households, right? Ek bari karo galti hai, do bari karo something, and third bari karo is a blunder, right? It's how do we learn from that mistake, from the failure, right? So I think if we can course correct ourselves with every failure that we do, I think we should have again, we should have a good, again, I would relate to what I just mentioned, appetite to risk, right? We should, as organizations, as business leaders, as IT leaders, should have and develop that appetite to let it go. If that guy, a person or a situation or an organization has learned his ample lessons, but at the time, the other contrasting way of looking at is, you may not get a second chance with the kind of, again, the disruptions and the market it waves, right? You may not get the second chance of standing onto it. Nokia is the biggest example of that, right? How it happens. So again, I also agree with Subhamoy. Is it the cost that comes into place? So I think it's more of a, in scenario decision. There can't be a common language, a common definition to it. It could differ situation to situation, people to people, person to person, department to department, and calls have to be made judiciously at what point we are and what we have at stake.
Understand. So failure, you're saying, will be relative, depending on the organization, depending on the situation.